Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be teaching us how to make a drape or how to add the drape to your skirts. It could be a mermaid or pencil skirts, and usually we use slash and spread technique to add fullness to any part of your garment, right? So this is how it's going to look like when we're done. Now let's get started. To do this, you need to draft a mermaid skirt, okay? So it could be a pencil skirt actually, but my own pattern here is the mermaid skirt. If you missed the mermaid skirt tutorial, I'm dropping the link in the description box. Okay, so this is the front of my mermaid skirt, and usually this drape is always added to a basque, bustier or corset, and the waistline is always slanted. I mean on the skirt. So it could be straight or curve. But I will advise you to do curve if this is your first time. Working with a very sharp edge can be very difficult for first timers. So you should just use the curve part of the ruler. So you're going to cut out this part here. Okay. So I came now, I think about 2 inches. So if you're not satisfied, you can still come down a little. Okay. But you shouldn't do more than 4 inch from the original waistline. Yeah, don't do more than 4 inch. Anything beyond 4 inch is going to, becoming something else. So, at most 4 inch from the original waistline. Okay, so this is 2. So I think I would like to still reduce it a bit. Yeah, I still want to bring it down a bit. So I'll just use my ruler to bring it down. Okay, like I said, if you missed the mermaid skirt tutorial, just check in the description box. Yeah. And please, while you're watching, just hit the subscribe button and do not forget to like this video. It's a form of encouragement. Okay. Yeah. So I'm done shaping the waistline. Now we're going to determine the position of the drape, and usually the drape starts from the waistline up to the hip line and then few inches below the hip line. So you can do 2 inches below the hip line, can do 3, can do as much as 4, 5. But for me, when it's too low, if you're doing anything like 5, 6 inches below the hip line, I think it's too wide. Yeah, it's already tending towards the knee line. So I could just do 3 or 3.5, 4 inch at most from the hip line. So if I'm doing 4 inch on the hip line, on the center front here, I'll just do 2 or 3. You understand? So long and short, whatever you're doing on the side seam should be more than the center front. So by the time you draw the line, you're going to have a slanted line. So right now, for the side, okay, I think I'll just maintain either 3.5 or 4. Let's do 4 so that on the center front I already marked 2, so you can see that the star line is more pronounced, right? Then coming towards the waistline now, okay, I'll just come down with about 1 or 2 inch from the slanted waistline. Okay, and I'm going to link this to the side. So we've formed the star line for our drape. Okay, so this is what you're going to be having here. I'm trying to shade out the part that we want to drape so that it's going to make more sense. Okay, so now usually you don't want to destroy your skirt pattern because it might be useful for you some other day. So instead of cutting this out, I will use my tracing wheel to trace this on another pattern paper. So that way my skirt pattern is still very much intact. So I'm just shading. So now that I've shaded, I think we have a better view of what we want to drape. Okay, so like I said, I'll be placing this on another pattern paper and I will trace out. Okay, this is my tracing wheel. So I'll just trace the pattern out like so. Okay, so I also traced out this other side here. Now I'm done tracing, I'm going to take off my skirt pattern and keep it somewhere. Like I said, you don't have to destroy the skirt pattern. Now I know you can't see anything, but I will use my ruler now to trace out what I traced with my tracing wheel. Okay, so you can see that pattern drafting is very interesting, very convenient, very accurate. You know, it's so easy. A lot of us complain about working with patterns. Like, seriously, we need to brace up. Drafting directly on fabric is going to limit you to a lot of things. So this is my pattern here. This is the direction of my green line, center front. Okay, so I'll cut this out now, and then we are going to adopt a technique called slash and spread. It's used to add fullness to any part of your garment. So here I'm going to draw my slash lines now. This is the side. You need to label so that you don't get confused. Now I'm going to divide my center front into, say, 3-4 segments. So let me just do 1 inch interval. Okay, so altogether I have let's see, 1, 2, 3 points. So I'm also going to divide here the same thing. I'll be dividing here too. So definitely this side of the pattern is wider, so I can't do 1 inch. So I can either do 1.5 inch interval or 1/4 interval. So I think I'm just doing 1 1/4, 1.5. They just share it into equal points, and then you now link it like so, point to point. You're gonna link it point to point like that. Okay, then after you've done this, if you want more slash lines, you could actually do that, but these are the major slash lines. So this is it here. So this is the direction of your slashing. You're slashing towards the side seam, right? So this is my pattern, and like I said, you can add more slash lines. So let me just add that. Okay, so I'll just use my discretion. I'll just add the slash lines at the center. I don't need to do any measurement, just make sure it's at the center. Okay, like so, and I'll just add one more there and to the top part. Okay, but it's not compulsory. You can just leave the initial slash lines added. So this is about, I think I have about 8 slash lines here. Yeah, so next thing, we're gonna slash from the center front towards the side seam. That's why I drew my arrows facing the side seam. Please make sure you label, draw your green lines, write your side and center front, because after slashing you might get confused. Yes, the pattern will look very strange. So after cutting out, you're going to have something like this. This is it here. Okay, so at this point it's hard to tell which is the top and bottom. That's why you should draw that arrow. Okay, so I'm going to place this on another pattern paper, or preferably I think I would change this to a brown paper so that we can see the detail very well. Yeah, we're supposed to spread this on the paper. Okay, but I think I'll change it to a brown paper. That would be more ideal. So like I said, please, as you're watching, make sure you hit the like button. Okay, ask all your questions here. Feel free to hit the share button and share on your social media handles. Okay, so I think it's preferably to place this on the brown paper. It's more clear, right? So I've taped it down with my masking tape. Okay, now I'm going to cut out, and it's preferably to add your seam allowance when you're transferring to the fabric. Yeah, it's better. I think that works for me, but some people prefer to add your seam allowance to the pattern before they cut out. So this is the working pattern that we're going to be using. Okay, and you can see the fullness there. All right, so we are going to transfer this to our fabric. Okay, and then we're going to run gathers or pleats, and then it will be gathered back to the initial length. Okay, we had. So I'm just splitting it for us to have an idea of what it's going to look like after sewing. Right now I'm going to transfer this to my fabric, and then side seam allowance should be 1 inch. Then all other places you're going to be adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so this is what it looks like after transferring, right? And don't forget sighting, but I didn't add allowance since it's just for illustration. I'm not sewing it yet. Okay, so the fabric, I cut out 2 pieces and it is not on fold. You cannot cut a curve on fold. Yeah, so let me still show us how the plate will look like. You can see we'll just be pleating it point to point. Okay, so now I'm going to take my fabric. I'll run a gather stitch here and then I'll show us. So this is it here. I've run my gather stitch. Now I'm going to pull it gently to make my ruches or my gathers. Just gently. Okay, so once you make the gathers, you should have something like this pattern here. Okay, so here I'm done. Once you do the gathers, and mind you, if you're using velvet like what was in the picture, it's going to have more folds. This is satin. Okay, if you're using velvet, you're going to have more folds. And then we're placing this on a flat surface, which is the table. If you're placing it on the human body, it's going to have more fits and the folds are going to be more pronounced. Okay, so you just attach this to the waistline like so, and then the lower part, and then you're done. And I think you should line it. Yeah, you could line it or you may not line it. So that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you learned something. I hope this was helpful. After pleating, you should have something like this. Okay, and your best bet should be fabrics that drape, probably crepe